In this episode of History Behind the Find, we will give a brief history behind one of Jeff's most recent finds, a commemorative token from Charles Lindbergh's famous flight from New York to Paris. Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr. was born on February 4, 1902 in Detroit, Michigan. Lindbergh studied mechanical engineering at the University of Wisconsin before leaving school to pursue his interest in flight. He made his first solo flight in 1923 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Lindbergh became a barnstormer, or a daredevil pilot, performing at fairs and other events. He enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1924 and trained as an Army Air Service Reserve pilot. He later worked as an airmail pilot, flying back and forth between St. Louis and Chicago. In the 1920s, hotel owner Raymond Ortig was offering a prize of $24,000 to the first pilot to make the journey from New York to Paris without making any stops. Lindbergh wanted to win this challenge and enlisted the support of some St. Louis businessmen. Several others have tried and failed, but this did not stop him. Lindbergh took off from Roosevelt Field in Long Island, New York on May 20, 1927. Flying a monoplane named Spirit of St. Louis, he crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Lindbergh landed in Paris after 33 and a half hours in the air. During his groundbreaking trip, he had traveled more than 3,600 miles. Upon his arrival, Lindbergh was welcomed by more than 100,000 people who came to see the aviation history take place. Lindbergh received many prestigious honors, including the Distinguished Flying Cross from the U.S. President. Later in his life, he dedicated much of his time to promoting the field of aviation. Traveling around the country, he flew his famous plane to different cities where he gave speeches and participated in parades. The public couldn't get enough of Lindbergh. His book on the legendary flight, entitled We, became a bestseller. Nicknamed Lucky Lindy and the Lone Eagle, he became an international celebrity, and he tried to use the fame to help aviation and other causes he believed in. Seeking a life away from the spotlight, Lindbergh and his wife went to live on an estate in Hopewell, New Jersey. The couple started a family with the birth of their first child, Charles Augustus Jr. At only 20 months old, the boy was kidnapped from their home in 1932. The crime made headlines around the world. The Lindberghs paid the $50,000 ransom, but their son's dead body was found in a nearby woods weeks later. The police traced the ransom money to Bruno Hauptmann, a carpenter with a criminal record, and arrested him for the crime. To compound Lindbergh's grief, the ensuing trial of his son's accused killer became a media frenzy. Hampton was convicted and later executed in 1936. Thanks for watching this week's episode of History Behind the Find. Remember, it's not just what we find, but what we find out. Please like and subscribe.